TN31. The TN31 is the sister light, maybe it's the brother light, I don't know which way it goes, to the Thrunite TN30. I'll show you a little more side by side in a little bit. But the TN30, which they've kind of dubbed the Flood King, and you can check out my review of that. The TN31, they have dubbed the Throw King, and indeed it is. This light easily throws out to a couple hundred yards, hanging out to the end of the video, and I will show you that. But let's have a quick look at the case, and then I will get into the light. Standard Thrunite packaging for their bigger lights, kind of this sort of this aluminum lunchbox style case. On the inside here, lanyard, instructions, some extra O-rings, and the belt clip case. Standard stuff there. This light, it is obviously not a small light. It's not a light that you're going to be carrying around every day. You're not going to stick it in your pocket. Even on your belt, it's going to be a bit of a husky size. But if you need a light to throw far out to see stuff far away, this is the light to get. This is easily the brightest light, or more so the farthest throwing light that I have. And a fantastic light for that. Price-wise, I've seen it anywhere from $145 to $190, depending on where you look. So it's not a cheap light, but as with all the other Thrunite lights I have, you do get a lot for your money. The Thrunite lights, I've reviewed a bunch of them, and just in the hand, they feel like quality. Just a quick comparison for the TN30. Here's a side-by-side. You can see the grips here, the backs, the bodies of them are pretty much exactly the same, but the heads are quite a bit different. The TN31 has got that single reflector, whereas the TN30 has sort of the three scalloped reflectors at the LED. So it's a little bit larger light. The TN30 actually now seems kind of small in comparison. I mean, it's actually not that big of a light, not that you'd want to carry it every day, but not that bad as far as size goes. The TN31 is certainly quite a bit larger. The head is big, and it's a little bit more hefty in the hand. Construction of it, starting on the back, this does have the forward click design here, as a lot of their lights do. You can forward press it, half press, the light will come on, and click it to come all the way on. The back here does have some scalloping out, and then that way if you want to carry it like this, you want to get to that tail cap, and then there's some holes here on the back for the lanyard. It will tail stand if you like to do that, if you want to light up the inside of a tent or wherever else you might be, put it on one of the lower modes, and you can do that. The body here, standard body for the Thrunites, has some knurling, Thrunite there with the logo guiding you through the night. Over on the other side, model name, serial number. Down here, let's just show you the inside first. So you can take this, you can open this from two ends. You can open it from the rear, and you can open it from the front here. On the inside here. The batteries come in this little sort of battery carriage, 318-650 batteries. And the way they've done this, the outside carries the negative charge, the inside carries the positive. Same with the head here, the negative here, the positive in the center. So it doesn't matter which way you put the batteries into the case here. Spring loaded on both sides, top and the bottom, and then the batteries just fit right on in there. Slides on in. Go ahead and put it back together here. All right, down to the control ring. This works similar to the TN30. It has this control ring here. Starts down at 0.5 lumens. It'll do that for 2,000 hours. I'll put the lumens and run times up on the screen so I don't bore you going over them verbally. But there's this control ring here. It has nice detents. As you can see kind of here. Nice detents. Has a little ramp here so you can figure out when you're at the bottom. And then all the way up to the top mode, 1147 lumens, which it will do for 2 hours. Actually pretty long run time for that much brightness. Standby mode, and then there's a strobe that you can go into. The head has a couple of heat sinks here. It does get a little bit warm after you've had it on for a little bit while. The heat sinks help a little bit with that. And then the head has got, like I showed you before, deep, smooth reflector. and that will throw super far with that. It's scalloped here such that you can put it down, still see that the light's on. User interface with this, starting down on low, 0.5 lumens, actually quite bright if you're somewhere in the dark and your eyes are adjusted. And then you just move the ring up till you get to the maximum 1147. It will then go into the standby mode here from the 1147. That way if you have it off, turn on the standby. There's a little bit of a power drain in the standby, just to note, and then you can go right into the 1147 if need be. Alternatively, just have it off and you can, half press into it. From the standby, there is then the strobe, alternating strobe you can see there. And then just simple on off with that tail cap. Let's go ahead and take this outside and I will show you some beam shots and just quite how far this thing can throw. Some beam shots here with the TN31. Now the beam on this, starting down low here, it's a very focused beam, just going up through the brightnesses here into the standby. So there's the maximum brightness, 1137 I believe it is, and you can see the hot spot is very focused. On these close trees here, 20 feet, 40 feet, 30, 40 yards, and then all the way down there, about 100 yards. And you can just see the beam pattern on this, in the light here. And I mean, look at that, it's like a spotlight. It's like a lightsaber. This thing is so bright. But very tight, focused beam pattern, big thrower. This 100 yards, why don't we go out a little bit farther? All right, let's have a look at some real distances with this light. We've got some known distances here out at 100 yards, and I'm just gonna do full brightness at all of these distances. Ignore any gunshots you may hear around here. So here we go, full brightness, 100 yards. Out to the end of the range there. Very easy to see, 100 yards. Nice focus beam, there's a house over here. Look how focused it is on that house. House is probably half the distance, about 50 yards on that house. All right, out now at 200 yards. Here we go, full brightness. And there you go. Again, nice focus beam. Let's go back to that house. Spotlight on that house. House is now probably 100 yards away, 100, 150 yards. Out now at 300 yards. First on the house is at about 250 yards. There's the end of the range. In the camera, it's probably not that clear to my eye. I can see it actually pretty clearly. If there was someone down there, I think I'd be able to see him no problem. Let's have a look here now at 400 yards. Can't quite make out the end of the range here at 400 yards. I can just barely make out the two steel targets that I was looking at. Pan over. Still, you can see pretty focused beam. I think 300 yards is probably about the sweet spot for this, but boy does this thing throw far. It is an intensely bright light. Some quick final thoughts here on the TN31. In my long distance field test there, it did pretty well out to about 300 yards. At 400, I couldn't really see much, but that night it was really hazy. There was a lot of mist, a lot of stuff in the air. And that really affects the distance that these lights are going to throw, because the light's going to get kind of caught up in a lot of that stuff on the way. On a clear night, who knows, I may have been able to see out to 400 yards pretty well. Hopefully I can get it out there again someday in a little better weather and test that theory. But if you need a light that shines super far, the Thrunite TN31 is a fantastic option for that. Check one out.